Let's talk to Reem Ibrahim, Institute of Economic Affairs, of course. She's the Acting Director of Communications there, because the NHS is under fire once again, despite what Wes Streeting has to say about it. Basically, there's a broken message and nobody knows what it's all about. Reem, a very good morning to you.
Very good morning to you too, Mike. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. I mean, Keir Starmer can't turn around without finding yet another problem that he has to deal with. Wes Streeting keeps saying that, you know, he's going to fix the NHS, but he doesn't appear to be doing very much after only, what, 12 weeks of government. I suppose it might be expected that it would take longer than that. But, you know, what is going on? What are they actually changing about the NHS?
It's so funny, actually, you talk about the messaging story, this whole notion that we need to stop using language like the fact that the National Health Service is broken. I mean, you know, my question is, what else do you call a system that is consistently failing in almost all parameters that measure health outcomes?
Right.
Look at countries across Europe. We know the National Health Service is performing the second worst when it comes to mortality rates. So, for example, the United Kingdom is the second worst in Western Europe for avoidable mortality rates. So the National Health Service, the sort of socialist monopoly that is owned by the state, is literally killing people. It's literally preventing avoidable deaths at the second highest rate than any other country in Western Europe. So if that's not a broken system, I don't know what is. You talked about the fact that the Labour government seemed to not necessarily have a plan about this. Lord Darsley, of course, published his report only a couple of weeks ago, effectively saying what we all already knew, that the National Health Service is broken, but didn't actually outline what a solution could look like.
Yeah.
So the IEA, about a week ago, published a paper called The Denationalisation of Healthcare, basically arguing that there are ways that we can morph the National Health Service into a social health insurance model, as we can see in other countries across Europe. So countries like the Netherlands that have competition, so everybody across the country, you British people, can choose where they get their healthcare from, but actually receive it rather than the current system that we have at the moment.
Right. I mean, that's the funny thing, isn't it? I mean, they've come into power and they've talked about how everything's broken. The Tories broke the health service. The Tories broke the economy. The Tories broke everything else. And now, of course, they're having to row back on it because their words are coming back to haunt them. Now they're saying, oh, well, we shouldn't be talking about the NHS like that. And now they're saying, oh, we shouldn't be talking down the economy because actually the economy's doing rather well. In fact, I think there's a story today in which it says that the economists are actually now saying the UK's economy going forward in the future is better than any other place in the G7.
That's right, yeah. So the UK economy is doing much, much better than many other countries in the G7. I think what really does show is actually, despite all of the government's interventions, despite having the highest tax burdens in the Second World War, and despite all of the rumours that Rachel Reeves is going to increase taxes in some way, shape or form in the October budget, despite all of this, businesses in the UK are still going ahead, they are still growing, they are still trying their best, despite the fact that the government is still trying to squeeze them. Now, on the tax point, I think that there is absolutely no way that the government can increase taxes significantly without effectively hurting working people. I think that's an entire fantasy, is what Keir Starmer said immediately after the election, that maybe we will have to increase taxes, even though they said that they weren't going to do so during the election campaign. But surprise, surprise, things change after they're actually in government. Effectively, this entire idea you can increase taxes without hurting working people, I think, is entirely for the birds. Effectively, even things like corporation tax, the incidence of the tax, so who it actually impacts, is often people that work in the company, so through forms of slower growth in wages, or indeed to consumers in the form of higher prices.
Indeed. And can you just confirm to me, Reem, that you're not zooming into us from your friend's £18 million Covent Garden penthouse apartment?
Unfortunately not. I'm zooming in from my flat that I share with two other people.
Very good. Well, at least you're honest, which is all you can say for the Labour government. Thank you very much indeed. Reem Ibrahim there.